Environmental needs are one of the things that most people think about when they think about a bird, is I'm going to need a bird cage. So habitats for parakeets have come a long way over the years. This is called a vision habitat. This is our primary recommendation, is like, you've never had a parakeet before, you want a nice habitat for it, just get this. This is a very good one. This is designed from the ground up as a perfect habitat for a bird like a parakeet. The thing that is most prominent on this habitat is this dome on the bottom. That is strategically positioned because, as we discussed in the nutrition segment, parakeets eat off the ground in nature, and their natural feeding behavior is a lot like a chicken. They're kicking and they're scratching and they're scattering. If you have a habitat that's all wire, they're gonna scatter out the sides of that habitat. They're gonna scatter their seeds, seed husks, feathers, other stuff. You're gonna have this like impact crater of stuff around your bird habitat, because that's just the type of thing that parakeets do. They're a little messy that way. That doesn't happen with this sort of a habitat because the seed cups are low, and actually accessing the seed cups is really nice. You just open the side of the dome here and they come out. And these seed cups are actually divided in half. So you actually have 4 distinct compartments. And you'll note that this is an ergonomic design to the edge of the seed cup. That is actually for the bird to exercise their feet. So every step is a different grip. Birds that grip the same diameter perch their whole life actually get arthritis in their feet. So this is really great. Easy access to the seeds, but then the whole thing just comes off for cleaning purposes. And there's gonna be so much contained because you have this dome. There's not gonna be any room for the bird to kick most of the feathers out. That's not to say that no feathers are gonna come out of an edge like this, but it reduces the total amount of stuff all over the floor probably by 70%. The other thing that's very nice about the way this is designed, you've got perches that you can position anywhere. Again, these perches are ergonomic, so they go from fat to narrow, and then they're wavy. So again, no matter if it's moving along the perch, the grip has to adjust, which exercises the bird's feet. So if the bird is sitting on the habitat on his perch and he poops, well, he's high, and most of the time in most types of cages, the bird poops right into their seed cup. But this cage, there's a little umbrella that's right over the cup. So that way, if there's waste, it's not going into the food or water, and then this thing comes out very easily, goes rinse it off, so you don't have bird poop everywhere. Very simple. The way you access the bird in the habitat also makes a difference. When you are first building trust with your parakeet, you've got to get them out and away from the cage. And if it's a very small door, it's a challenge to get the bird in and out of the habitat. So this has a single door if you just need to make an adjustment, move a toy, do something like that. Or you can open the second door, and now you have the ability to, you can get in there with 2 hands if you needed to get your bird out. Not a big deal. Once you've built trust with the bird as well, get him to step up, and then you can get the whole bird out through the opening. The bird's not going to have to duck to get in and out of here. So that's a pretty ideal habitat. This habitat is also features a flat top. So the reason you would want it to have a flat top is so you could eventually add a play top. Once your bird is tame, if your bird is going to be out and about, it's nice to have someplace to set him down. So a playground like this that just has a flat base, you can just literally set that on top, or it could go anywhere else in your home as long as it's a safe spot for your bird to be out and about uncontained. But a lot of times people will just have the bird on a play top right on the top of the habitat just like that, and that's fun. This is a habitat that would be ideal for 1 bird and all of the accessories that it's going to need. You might be able to do 2 in here. This is not a 3 or 4 bird habitat. They make this style in larger footprints, and that would be good for multiple birds. It's important to remember, if you want more than 1 parakeet, those parakeets are not going to be very handleable because they interact with each other. They don't need you for their friend. So the reason you buy multiple birds is because you want more of a look-at bird. When you have a single parakeet, that parakeet needs you to be his friend. That parakeet is very likely to be social as long as you work with him. As soon as you have more parakeets they'd rather be friends with other parakeets. And so this all plays into like, how big of a habitat do you need? For a single bird, we say 3 wingspans. So when the bird's got its wings open, this distance times 3 is what we say. So that's exactly what this works out to be for a parakeet. And then when you have multiple parakeets, they say like 2 wingspans per bird worth of space minimum for the house. Certainly you can always go larger. Their environment is the world. The big thing you want to make sure of is that you have this tight bar spacing. Any wider than what we see here, this is about a 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch. Anything wider than that, the bird runs the risk of getting its head stuck or completely escaping from the habitat. That's not okay. So you need this tight bar spacing. So don't get a parrot cage for your parakeet, because that's going to have wider bar spacing and your bird's just going to escape. So this is the ideal habitat. This would be our primary recommendation. We do sell basic wire habitats. I will show you that. So this is a basic wire habitat. We have this habitat set up kind of like a kit. The other habitat's also available as a kit. So with this one, you got these little doors, and then you've got the great big front door. But you can see, just as I interact with this habitat, it's a lot more flimsy. This is not necessarily going to be a super long-term thing for you to have your bird in, because the wire gauge is just a lot lighter. You're probably not going to be happy with this long-term. The thing that is also true, there is no dome to contain any seeds or scattering. You're going to notice that right away. You're going to notice that there's feathers and there's seeds all over the place. If you already have a habitat like this, or you want to try an inexpensive habitat and you want to start with something like this, they do make a seed catcher. This is a mesh. It's elastic top and bottom. You'd wrap that around the perimeter of the cage, and that will contain some of the scattered stuff, and that might be better than not. So that's how that starts. So above and beyond the actual cages themselves then, what else are environmental needs? Things that they're going to be able to access in the environment, such as perches, end up in the environmental camp. This here is an emery perch. So it's actually made out of crushed seashells, and so this particular one, if the bird actually decided to eat a little bit of it, that's okay. It's a source of calcium. But it's an abrasive surface. So this can go anywhere because it's 2 washers. You just clamp it through the side of the cage to put it on. This is providing an additional diameter for the bird to perch on, and it's going to functionally actually help file the nails down too as the bird stands on it. So that's a pretty nice additional feature. If you have a solitary parakeet, a parakeet that's just going to be your friend and doesn't have any roommates, one of the things that is very good is a cozy corner. So when you have a group of parakeets, they'll snuggle up together and they will be physically in contact with one another. Solo parakeet might miss that. So this cozy corner, you just attach, there's a little rope here, you can actually tie it to the edge of the cage along a perch. And it's open like a little V shape, and literally the bird will get in there and snuggle up. An additional variation on something to help your little parakeet snuggle with, you have a snuggle sack. And so this can hang from the top of the habitat. Again, it's good to have it intersecting a perch so the bird can get in there. But it's kind of like a little aerial nest. It's warm and fluffy inside, and a parakeet might like to snuggle up in there. So that's pretty fun. Then there's the addition of ladders or rope perches. Those are other things that you can add to the habitat to kind of round out the environmental needs for your parakeet. So we will talk about the other needs of the 4 basic need categories in an additional video. If you have any questions on this, please ask your pet counselor.